What up, cuz?
How's it going, man?
How's it going?
Good.
So I just want to introduce you first.
Okay.
Because I get a lot of people who tell me, like, you know what you do? You just start with your podcast and you don't introduce your guest.
Actually, that's good. You shouldn't introduce your guest and then have people...
Like Google you, right? So Samer Hamadeh.
Yes.
I said it with a Lebanese accent because I know you're Lebanese. So I just wanted to throw that in there, you know?
Lebanese by passport.
By passport. All right.
I mean,
but international by, you know?
Yeah, nomadic by trade.
Well, I just want to say that Samer is you're probably best known for running one of the, premier clubs in the region.
I wouldn't go that far, but
I would say that, Stereo Arcade. A lot of people know what that is. So it's really cool having you
Thanks, man.
On this platform.
Thank you.
And I think we both come from pretty much similar and different worlds. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation to have. So I'm really happy that you're here. And so you're saying international and by passport. How does that work?
I grew up in Saudi. So I was born in Lebanon, but I left. I was three months old. My dad and my mom were in Saudi. So
okay.
Grew up in Riyadh, basically.
Whoa, Riyadh.
Yeah, Riyadh in the 80s was, the best place to be in the Middle East.
Okay.
Went to an American school. Obviously, my brother and my sister were there as well. And then moved to Lebanon just for the last 2 years of school and then college, then back here. So GCC pretty much my whole life.
So you went into this restaurant world and you went into
this was by accident. We were just talking about Sam Wahab, right? So
Sam Wahab. Shout out to Sam Wahab.
So Sam's one of my one of my oldest friends in the world. And when he still lived here, we used to throw house parties at his house all the time. And even if it was like a big weekend night in the city, we're just so bored with the music scene here, and everything's house. No offense, house, to each their own.
Don't take it, man.
Yeah, so
I'm not a fan.
We wanted to do something different, so we actually used to throw house parties at his house.
Okay.
So he had a big villa in Media City, or Knowledge Village or something. And it just started from there. And some nights we'd have 300-400 people show up to this thing that was supposed to be just a couple of friends.
Wow.
Yeah, and I used to play the music because I'm not a DJ, but I like playing music. I love music. I grew up on my Walkman and my Discman, several of them, because I kept breaking them, obviously.
Okay.
Or they get stolen in Lebanon because people didn't know what they were for.
Yeah.
And it just went from there. And then I got an opportunity with another friend of mine, a guy called Amir Ghafarpour, who was my first business partner in nightlife, and he found a little venue, the Monarch Hotel.
Okay. This is in Dubai.
The time. Yeah. This was like 2010. And
so what was that place called?
One on One.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so it was right under Oku and all those places.
Yeah. Oh shit, I've been there actually.
Yeah, same story. Yeah. So it was one of those things where I couldn't find a DJ to play the music that I wanted, which was a little bit of 80s, some 90s. I'm like, play some Metallica at 2 a.m., play some Pearl Jam, play old school R&B, something a bit, not mainstream, but, not mainstream today, but back in the day would have been considered mainstream. Just the music that we literally grew up to. So, like what I'd find on my mixtapes. Nobody wanted to do it. Every DJ I spoke to, it's like, no, man, do house. And at the time, even one of my friends who's a fellow club owner now, I can't say who it is, but he's like, no, what are you doing, man? Nobody wants to listen to this music. Just play house music, get this guy, you'll pack it up. I'm talking about a 250-person capacity. It's a tiny place. House music in a place that fits 250 people. It's a mosh pit, basically.
Right.
It's not, So I kind of figured out how to do it myself. So I literally went...
So you...
Yeah, my first bar, it was more like a bar club, one-on-one. It was a tiny, like I said, tiny place. Spent 70,000 dirhams. I put some money into it and bought a sound system from... at the time, they were called Mojo, now they're called Pulse. So they do all the clubs now in Dubai. Okay. Sound and light for them. Rami and Joe, good friends of mine. Really, really good friends of mine.
Shout out.
Yeah. And I bought a sound system from them, a JBL, like super basic house party sound system type thing. And I got one of my other friends to rent me a lighting system and a CDJ, like a DJ set. And I plugged my iPod into one side, my iTunes open in the other side. I figured out I used Serato. But opening night, and I had the place packed. So 10 p.m. we were packed. Every table was full. We only had 8 tables, so it's not really a major feat. But anyway,
it's pretty good
at the time.
Yeah.
I called Jean B, who was one of the biggest DJs at the time. He was at the 400. I'm like, dude.
The 400.
Yeah, I'm like,
is that still around?
Serato's going backwards. And he had to talk me through it while he was in the club. It was hilarious. So that was like how it started off. And then I just ended up DJing for like 8 weeks, just on Thursdays, doing like playing my music. And hearing people scream when I play a song they haven't heard in like 15, 20 years. And because, again, my knowledge in my head is just incredible. I mean, I live on music most of the time. Maybe not so much these days because I'm so busy with so many other things. And video games takes away from the music sometimes because you're in the game.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, so it started off with that, and then opened my first big club. Actually, me and Amir opened up together, and Rida Rad from TBW.
Yeah.
So
Shit, man, Rida's my ex-boss.
Okay, so Rida was one of my partners, right? So it was me, him, and Amir, and
so this was which club?
Republic.
So
yeah,
no
Republic
way.
was my first club. So
damn, I got a guest here that I don't know like your background. I was like, dude, you did Republic.
Okay. Sorry. We just met in the elevator.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
No, so yeah, Republic was my first like club. One-on-one was a nice experiment. We kind of messed up with the legal work with the hotel. The hotel changed hands, and we got our contract got lost in the translation. Learned a big lesson there. So went to the address Dubai Mall, took over the space. I created the concept, and believe it or not, Republic, which was I wrote République in French. I was on the phone with one of my friends. I'm talking to him about the concept and everything. And I'm thinking I couldn't think of the name, and I had my Xbox sitting on my desk, and I had a couple of video game boxes, and one of them was Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
I'm like, Republic, yeah, but not Republic with a C. I want to own the name. I want to trademark République. So I trademarked Republic. I mean, anyway, so that's how République was born.
Right.
80s and 90s. We had the screens that dropped down, big flags that popped up. All the artistic direction was all TBWA. These incredible creative directors over there that created like the flag and the turning musicians and artists into flags of countries.
Yeah.
So you had Freddie Mercury had his own flag. Michael Jackson had his own flag. Elvis Presley had his own flag. That is
super cool.
Madonna had her own flag. So it's like music and culture and nationalism is really actually that. So you listen to Metallica, even if you're not an American citizen, you feel some kind of warmth towards that band. So
of course, yeah.
So yeah, that's how Republic started. That was 2 years, and then.
So what happened there? Like, I mean, it was like a really. I mean, it was one of the most popular places to go.
We were super successful, but unfortunately, with success sometimes in Dubai, if you're not aware of the people you're dealing with in terms of a landlord. I'm not saying anything. I mean, the landlord was great, Amar at the time.
Yeah.
But the market was changing, and our rent was very low compared to the market standard.
Right. This was back in
2011.
Okay.
When things and I was their first tenant, so Amar didn't have a tenant before that really, like as a hospitality group. So we had to there's a lot of political maneuvering to get that deal done. After 2 years, they wanted more rent.
Okay.
We were doing well, but at the end of the day, I'm like, listen, I'm not in this to make money to pay rent. I need to make money this is a business. How can you grow a business if all you do is break rent?
That was a huge place, though, right? I mean,
it's actually half the size of Stereo Arcade.
What?
Half? Yeah. Stereo Arcade is 8,000 square feet. Republic was 4,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, but it looked bigger because it was a 21-meter ceiling.
That's right. Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah. So Republic was like my first foray into creating a nightlife brand.
Right.
Although I had created some brands before, because the first business I was in was a company called Chill Out Productions, the Dubai Jazz Festival.
Oh.
So I partnered up with Anthony and his partners, Gilbert, Joe, and Raja, and I set up a sister company.
Uh-huh.
So I did things like the Comedy Convention, which is a big comedy festival.
Yeah.
The Axis of Evil tour with Jamil Abouardi at the time, who was at Showtime.
Yeah.
So Ahmed Maz, Wanho, the whole Axis of Evil guys. I worked with them for a very long time. Then I brought everyone from Omid Jalili, Tommy Davidson, all these comedians, Whitney Cummings, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Whatever happened to Chill Out? Are you
Eric? No, I'm not there. I'm not involved anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
I had nothing to do with the Jazz Festival. The Jazz Festival was their baby. I came in like
just to add on.
I set up the sister company.
I see.
When I was like 25.
Dude, man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like you went right out of the gates, just like
right out of
slinging,
BBO, dude. 9 months of advertising, and I said, I'm not doing this.
It's not for me.
Danny Cutham, like one and only boss ever. He's like, what are you doing, dude? You have a great career path here. What are you going to do? I'm like, it's not for me. I don't want to do a 9 to 5. I don't want to wear a suit. I don't want to speak to a 25-year-old marketing manager with a $100 million dirham budget about what we should do about a tower.
Right.
I just wasn't interested in it.
Right.
And I took a big risk, obviously, from a salary to a no salary at 25, living in one of the most expensive cities in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm not a trust fund baby, so I had to kind of wing it. But Chill Out was good.
Yeah, but I mean, Republic, like when you guys ended it, it wasn't. You guys didn't end it because like it just sort of like ran out of steam?
No,
It actually was going full force.
It was a business decision. So I thought at the time, if we stayed another 5 years, because I had only a 2-year lease, and the general manager we were dealing with had left.
Right.
And the new guy or new guys, they must have replaced 4 general managers while we were there. And if you deal with a hotel for nightlife, it's really luck of the draw.
Right.
Because you have some GMs like Stefan Vjard, who was the GM at the time, who now is opening the Mi Hotel, the Opus in Business Bay.
Okay.
So that's a Zaha Hadid designed building, and it's a Mi Milia from Spain. So he's running that.
Okay.
This is one of those guys that is a visionary when it comes to hotels, because he understands, one, how the things have to go, like to get things done. That's one. Two, he knows who to work with.
Okay.
You have a lot of hotel GMs that are too worried about their paycheck and if the CEO likes them, to like, they don't care. They'll rent out space to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. No real thought into it. With us, he was very tough with the concept, very tough with the procedures, but he saw something and we went with it. If it was somebody else, you know, he wouldn't have wanted an 80s and 90s club that doesn't do sparklers.
Right.
Everyone in town was doing sparklers. He
Right.
knew he would make less money than the rest of the clubs, but he still pushed for us and made it happen. So if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even have had it.
Okay.
And then yeah. So, but Republic was great. I mean, 2 years, honestly, some of the best years of my life in terms of business, because we were on a roll. People loved it. We were doing something very different, and it was just fun.
I remember I had my one of my star moments at your at that time at your club. Actually, it was at the door of Republic.
Okay.
I just started that campaign. I don't know if you're familiar, but like back in 2011.
Okay.
When Metallica came here.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, you did the campaign to try to get you to meet the band.
Yeah, so it kind of got quite big and everything,
Yeah,
but I don't know
remember.
how. Like, I don't. You see it online. You see it manifesting itself
I saw
online.
it on Twitter, and then it became Facebook.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is cool. It's picking up. But I didn't know that people were actually going to recognize me in real life. So I think it was Joe Akawi at the time. It was like, yeah, let's go to this new place called Republic. Let's go check it out, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
man, he's such an instigator.
he is. So I'm like, fine, yeah, let's do this. And we were there at the door of your club, and I remember there was a couple of people. They're like, hey, aren't you the guy that's starting the campaign to meet Metallica? So that was my, like, I was like, whoa, I'm at a door of a club, you know, in Dubai, one of the coolest ones here, and I got recognized in front of the bouncer. Let me in, bitch. So that was my star moment.
Okay.
So from there, so you guys just ended it, right? So you just...
Yeah, we still have the brand, obviously. We own the brand. I'm very careful about trademarking and owning the brands that I create, because this is intellectual property, and people here don't take that seriously. I do very much, because you never know where a brand could lead.
Right.
But it just didn't make sense to continue, and the climate was all off for the numbers they were requesting. So I think at the time we went from dip to, you know, shooting for the stars in terms of Dubai and rent in Dubai, specifically for commercial. And I did the math in my head, and it didn't make sense. Okay. I'm not willing to put in all this effort for the landlord to make rent.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. Nobody on earth with half a brain would say, yes, you know what, I'll pay 4 times the rent and make no money just so I can have, you know, my ambition isn't to be a club owner.
Right, to have a business that makes sense.
I was up in the DJ booth half the time playing with the lights. People thought I was a lighting technician. They don't know I own the place. I don't care about these things. It's not what I'm in it for.
Right.
I like seeing people have fun. That's the most important thing for me. And I always say, you know, as long as they're having fun, I really don't care if they're spending money or not. And this is going to be important we'll talk about this later, where I see the market headed and where I see Dubai headed in terms of luxury and hospitality. But yeah, so Republic ended, and kind of overlapping that, I brought a brand to the Middle East called Zylo Bands.
Okay.
It's a company that Coldplay invested in. It's the RFID controlled LED wristband. So I did a couple of big gigs. Jay-Z, Rihanna, Pharrell, Hamrou Diab, a bunch of the big, Hussein Al-Jasmi, a bunch of the big Arabic singers as well. And that was incredibly successful for the first year. And then it just became very expensive for brands to actually buy the product from me.
Okay.
Which I still have till now, but we do much smaller events. So that kind of kept me going for a year, just like mentally going.
So that was in your
in
interim.
between, yeah, while I was working on something else. And I got a call from Daniel Grieder, who at the time was my operations director at Republic. I'm not an ops guy.
Okay.
I don't get involved in the management. I have no interest in managing venue people. I'm not that guy.
Okay.
I'm much, you know, for me, I want to create stuff.
Right, right.
who puts it together. I trust my incredible team on making the vision work, and I step back.
Okay.
I don't want to tell somebody how to do their job because they're better than me at it. What am I going to come say?
Right.
So so Daniel calls me. Obviously, he's became very good friends, and he's part of the team, like the core team. And he's like, "There's a location in the marina, JBR. I know you don't like JBR, but come check it out. It's a new hotel that's opening up. It's right on the beach." And you said you had something in mind for an Indian club.
Indian club.
Which I did,
yeah.
Which I still do.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I went and checked it out. I'm like, okay, ceilings are too low for what I wanted, and this was it was a storage area for all their equipment. So you can really see the size of it. But it was huge. The ceiling was 5 meters high, so it was fine, but I wanted a 10-meter high for my Indian. Anyway, so I went back. I got more or less the gist of it, the size, and I saw the layout, and I put it in front of me. And I lived at the address, Dubai Mall at the time, so I used to go down to my pool and work at my pool all the time. It was my sanctuary. I don't go to an office. I don't work from an office. And I had the printed. Daniel always does these A3 printouts, so I printed the A3 floor plan, and I sat down on the sunbed with my laptop. And at the time, by complete accident, I was really, really, really into synth music. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the hell happened to me, but I was watching Miami Vice.
Okay.
And it just drove me crazy. And I wanted to see if anyone was continuing this synth sound. And I found, I don't know the numbers, but I mean, just on my SoundCloud, I must have like 500 kids that are making synth music.
Okay.
Synth and dreamwave and vaporwave and retrowave. And I got into this whole culture and community of it. And that's where Stereo Arcade came from, because I kind of, for me, video games, background music, video game music, VGM, BGM, whatever, it was all synth and synthesizers back in the 80s and the 90s. You didn't have orchestras like they do now for Zelda. You have a freaking orchestra of 60 people playing the Zelda theme song for like 6 days of recording. You didn't have that back then. It was a guy on his MIDI keyboard.
That's right, yeah.
Right? So it kind of just started giving me these little flashbacks of something that I remember when I was a kid.
I still remember the Zelda songs, though.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Link
it's one of the most
Past.
iconic video game songs, video game soundtracks ever. And so I had the floor plan sitting in front of me, and I kind of just split it in the middle. And I always wanted to open a rock bar. And obviously I have the nightclub knowledge from Republic and One-on-One before. And I'm a big gamer. I mean, it's not a secret. And since I was a kid, I always wanted to own an arcade. Not one machine, like an actual arcade. People come to my arcade and they play and they leave and, make no money, because you don't make money in arcades. And that's why I put the arcade in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's why I called it Stereo Arcade. Because stereo sound, left and right channel, arcade in the middle, rock bar on the right, nightclub on the left. That was the concept.
Yeah.
And the music in the arcade till today is synth music at all times. So no matter what game you're playing, the background is synth, and in the bathrooms as well. So that's kind of the connection.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of how I got to Stereo Arcade. And I don't know what to put on the right side of it. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And one of my really close friends, a guy called Ziad Kamed, who we've been friends as well since we were like 14, 15. We met randomly at the gym in Lebanon, and he's became one of my closest friends. He wanted to open his French restaurant Kouklé in Dubai.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking. I'm like, listen, I have a great location for Kouklé. Come check it out. So him and Paddy, his other partner in Kouklé, one of his co-founders, they flew to Dubai. I showed them a location in the DoubleTree, which now became the Main.
The Main, okay.
Joey Ghazal's
yeah.
And they loved it. They put in an offer to the DoubleTree, and I had already put in an offer and pretty much secured the space. I didn't say what the name was or anything, but I had shared the concept, and they loved it. The Kouklé thing didn't work out. The hotel felt it competes too much with their restaurant, which is not the case at all, even till today I say it. But, missed opportunity for them, I think. Although the Main is incredible.
I love Kouklé, though.
Yeah, Kouklé is incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the best restaurants in town. Even in Lebanon, it's 9 years almost. So while we were having this conversation, kind of let down, no Kouklé, whatever, we said, why don't we do a cocktail investment where people can invest. We take 30% of Stereo Arcade, 30% of Kouklé, put it in one pot, have people invest in both, and we open a Kouklé somewhere else. I'm like, okay, great idea. That developed and evolved into, why don't we open a management company, which is me and Ziad. Let's open a management company together, which is Aegis Hospitality. I have a thing for Greek mythology, so Aegis, you know, Zeus's shield. And
I think this podcast should go on for 5 hours. There's so much I want to ask you. Yeah.
So we set up our management company, and the Rock Bar I wanted to open on the right. Ziad and Paddy and Joey had a bar in Beirut called the Angry Monkey.
Right, yeah.
And we thought, why don't we get the essence of the Angry Monkey and stick it in this Rock Bar? We toyed with the idea of actually calling it that, but then I pulled the plug on that like right before we opened. I felt it was going to be too confusing for people. Because you have the club, which is unnamed, and then something else that's named. And
that's
so,
right.
Yeah, in retrospect, you know, right from the start, I should have been a bit more brand-centric when it comes to Stereo Arcade. It's just one place, and that's it. You have different rooms, which is what we're doing now. So that's kind of how it started. So, you know, and one of my... And obviously, to start, you need capital. We had capital, a little bit of capital aside. But to really, really get started, you need a chunk of change. And I went to one of my best customers at Republic, a guy called Tom Verkuyen, Dutch guy, who became like a really close friend, obviously, because he was always there in Republic. You see a guy with both his hands up. I mean, they made the emoji after him. And he became friends with me, became friends with Dean Curtis. Dean was our resident DJ at Republic. He was my first resident DJ. And until now, he's one of my closest friends, and he's still my go-to guy. Like Dean even DJ'd his wedding in Amsterdam, you know, in not Amsterdam, somewhere in Holland. I forgot now where. But anyway, so Tom said we're in. He's like, me and Merit, his wife, we're in. Okay. Wrote a check. Went, did everything we had to do. So Tom is one of my co-founders at Stereo, along with Paddy and Ziad. And yeah, so that's kind of how it started off. And then we obviously, you know, the usual, finding investors, bringing in shareholders to the picture. We funded quite quickly for a $2.3 million project.
Was it hard to get? I mean,
look, it's a very tough question to answer because yes and no. Yes, it was hard because you have to convince people that you know what you're doing. And sometimes, even if you know what you're doing, things go wrong. And you have to convince them to give you their hard-earned cash. This is someone's well-being you're messing with.
Right.
So you can't take it and be like, you know, I spent it on chandeliers for the nightclub. Now we need another 10 million dirhams to make it work.
Yeah.
So, you know, but luckily I'm very, you know, I'm all about value engineering, and I'm responsible when it comes to kind of getting the best bang for our buck. And then we opened almost 11 months after we signed the lease.
So opening a restaurant versus opening, you know, a club.
Yeah.
As a procedure, was it more difficult for you to deal with the fact that, all right, this is a nightlife spot, so it's going to be considerably different from opening a restaurant?
So obviously we opened Kukle again later.
Yeah.
So that was way after, or like almost a year after.
Yeah, my wife and I are quite frequent visitors to Kukle.
Good.
Yeah,
good. Are they taking care of you there?
Well, yeah, I love that steak frite thing that you. Phenomenal. That's my go-to thing when I'm there's craving something.
That's the number one seller, hands down. The only difference between opening a nightclub and opening a restaurant really is the CID.
Right.
That's it. If they like you, you've been dealing with them for a long time, and
you're clean. You got your
Then you're good to go.
Right.
They won't give you any trouble. You know exactly what the rules are. You follow the rules to the T. In my case, you know, I signed for the liquor license myself. I don't know if we can really say this publicly, but this is something I take very seriously, because the last thing I'd want is an incident involving someone getting drunk and hurting somebody at my own business, right? Yeah. So that's always the fear. I mean, yes, you have insurance and you have security, but look at what happened with Rock Bottom.
Right.
Look what happened with this guy who...
that's right.
You know, obviously the Western media love to bash Dubai. Nobody believes a word that they write because nobody was here. You know, guy goes from saying, oh, he touched my hip and now he's in jail, to flipping him off and now he's in jail, to now he's out of jail, and this big drama. So things like this can be avoided if you're smart about who you let in.
Right.
So they know that I'm going to get the best security team. They know I'm going to get the best employees. They know I'm not going to have any working girls. They know I'm not going to have any drugs. They know I'm not going to have anything that could get me or other people in harm, in terms of like physical harm or whatever. So from that perspective, it's if you're good with them, you're good. Like they'll make life easy for you. They'll give you advice. I go see my guys at the CID regularly. I just go for a chat. I tell them what's happening. We talk about the market. I get more insight about the market from them than I do from the Department of Economic Development.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because they're out all the time.
Yeah.
They go to more clubs than anybody in Dubai, so they know what's happening in the market. They see people. They even know people's spending habits.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
You know, so opening a restaurant is a whole other ballgame. Because opening a restaurant, you've got a kitchen involved. Once you have a kitchen involved in Dubai, you have 3 or 4 authorities that are involved.
Right.
And
you got your health, you got your...
Of course. As long as you're, again, doing things properly, you're not cutting any you're not taking any shortcuts, you're not cutting any corners, it's relatively easy. I would say the biggest hurdle for any business in Dubai, really normally, is the red tape. But I can't believe I'm going to say this about a government, but it's so easy to do business with the government here. It's the private companies that give you a headache. It's the hotels that give you a headache.
Right.
So I get approvals from Dubai Municipality, Dubai Tourism Authority, CID, Dubai Police, Civil Defense. Then the hotel's like, I don't like the color of the back wall in your back of house where you store your water, so we have to delay you 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. Normally it's the government that's difficult.
Right.
Normally, in Lebanon, for example, it's the government that makes your life hell.
But here,
it's the complete opposite. Here, the government's like, sure, what do you want to do? Don't come here. Do it online. Are you sure? Yes, we don't want to see you. Go away.
Yeah.
You know, everything's about getting streamlined, doing things faster, efficiency. You move houses without leaving your house. Like you move houses, your DIWA transfers, your due transfers from an email.
That's right, yeah.
But if you want to open a restaurant and the hotel doesn't like your curtains, they'll delay you a month.
Okay.
It's crazy. So this for me would be, again, back to the first point about Republic, of dealing with someone like Stefan Viard from, at the time, the Address and now the Me Hotel, this is a guy that's going to bend over backwards to make it work.
Right.
Who will help you out. A guy called Andrew Joyce at the Hilton, who is responsible for the development of their concepts. Same thing, he'll find a way to make it work. But you have some general managers of some hotels that are too worried about the things that really don't matter when you're trying to run a business, and they're still of the old school mentality, thinking they could do it better.
Yeah.
Instead of just giving it to people like me who know what my customers want, if I can bring them there. And that becomes your biggest hurdle. So, you know, if somebody asked me, like, what would you do before anything else? I'd say meet with the hotel, obviously, and get a feel for the people you're dealing with there.
Yeah.
Because everything else is going to be easy, except for the one person that is going to be your landlord for the next 5 years. So if that doesn't work, it's not going to work.
So you've been open now for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Has it been 2 years?
We're in our 3rd season now. Yeah.
So have you reached a point where you're like, this is a good business, I'm turning a profit, I'm happy with this? Because I could tell that you've kind of kept the quality of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's been quite consistent, and that's not something we could say about night spots in general, because sometimes they run out of steam, and then something new comes up, and so on. But you've managed to keep it at a very steady pace. So how do you feel about it today, looking back 3 years or 2 years and a half, and you know, where are you now from that sense?
Well, as a brand, I think it's got a long way to go if this is something I intend on keeping going for a long time. Running out of steam is natural for any business. Mm-hmm. Any business in the world runs out of steam. McDonald's don't need to advertise the Big Mac because everyone knows that there's a Big Mac.
Right.
But everyone knows there's a Big Mac because McDonald's keep advertising the Big Mac.
Right.
It's one of those things that, you know, if you don't see it all the time, it does. Even if you love it, but you need someone to remind you that you love it. So Stereo Arcade was successful in one major part of the business, which is kind of creating a loyal, not fan base, but customer base.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't call our customers guests, by the way. They're customers. They pay our bills, so they are our customers. Right. Even my staff, they're not allowed to say the word guest. I mean, we're not a bed and breakfast. We're, you know. People like Joe, for example. Having Joe, I've never asked Joe for anything.
Right.
He loves the place.
Yeah, he advertises it like crazy.
Joe, it's like his place.
Joe Akawi, shout out.
Yeah. So, you know, someone like Joe, for example, I couldn't afford him if I wanted to get his PR services. But he loves the place genuinely, and you can ask him why he loves it. I mean, I really don't know. Maybe it's the music, maybe it's the way he's treated, maybe it's the lights, maybe it's the drinks, but anyone can put on a light show and put on music and, you know, but it takes a special combination of a lot of elements to make a place successful with its customers. So someone like Joe, a lot of our other regulars that became like our champions. So yeah, I think that's what it takes right now more than anything else. Other nightclubs hire a team of PR managers.
Right.
I have none. We have, one guy who just joined us recently, and he, because of the Boom Room, which I'll talk about later, it's more like a younger crowd, and we have no real connection with them because I'm not on Snapchat, for example,
right?
As a joke. No, so that's what keeps the place going, is having the right customers who want to keep coming back and bringing new people, and eventually they take a break, they come back, they might leave, they might stay. It's a toss up, but.
So do you look at your customer base and do you see that, all right, shit, I need to get a younger audience in, or do you feel like I'm good with this?
Well, it's life, right? I mean, your customers get married,
right?
They stop going out as much,
right?
They get divorced, they go out more. They have kids, they don't go out at all, they don't leave the house. They get a dog, they don't leave on weekends because the dog's going to cry.
Right.
So there are a lot of elements that come into play that you have no control over, and you can't be upset at somebody because they're staying home with their dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always good to have fresh blood. And when I moved to Dubai, I was 24 years old, and we used to go to clubs when I was 25, 26. I didn't want Stereo Arcade to be just for the 30 plus. I wanted everyone to come enjoy it. So one of the most unfortunate things that happened, and one of my probably most stressful decisions, was changing the pub side, the live music, to something else.
Yeah. I got a question on Facebook when I put up that I was talking to you. They're like, why did they close that part of the club? So I guess.
So I'll touch on that. I mean, I'm a rock head through and through. I mean, everyone thinks I like pop music, and because we play pop, and I like dance music. No, I mean, I grew up on Pearl Jam. I grew up on Nirvana. I grew up on Stone Temple Pilots. That's my music.
Right.
In the car on the way here now, I mean, you look at half my music. It hasn't left 1999, 1997 even. That's the music I would play if I had my way.
Right.
Dean, who is, like I said, our resident DJ, is also a shareholder at Stereo Arcade. He plays a lot of rock music. Mm-hmm. He's played Metallica at 2 a.m. He's played Pearl Jam at 2 a.m. He's played Blur at 2 a.m. I'm sorry, not a lot of nightclubs. We play Metallica in the nightclub.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen because people are like, what are you doing in here? But Stereo Arcade, they expect it.
Yeah.
They don't want the perfect mixes. That's just the traditional kind of sequence. So with the pub, after almost 2 years of live music, and we had some incredible, I mean, we had the best bands in Dubai play there.
Right.
The best freaking bands. One of my favorites, Jay Wood, for example.
Right, yeah.
We had the Box Stones. We had a band we put together called VHS. We tied up with a bunch of the local bands to do one-off gigs. People like Vandalai, who I think are going to be huge internationally. They were in Germany recording last year. We had a lot of live music, 6 nights a week at one point. Mm-hmm. We had Abri and the Funk Radio. We had everybody.
I mean, it's great because we don't have much live music venues.
Well, that was the bet that I made. And I'll be very honest about it. I don't think Dubai as a community really appreciates live music.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Unless it's like an international artist that...
Even then, it's shocking sometimes.
Right.
People want to go to a place to take a picture and leave. I was at Guns N' Roses. Half the people were at the bar drinking. Are you kidding me? Slash is on stage. Why are you doing anything except being... and I was there. It was an incredible concert.
Oh, it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. The traffic situation was garbage, but...
honestly, I would have... I mean, for that, it was... Look, traffic's traffic, right? I mean, I got stuck in it no matter what.
Yeah, but you know what sucked, though? I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan. Like, huge. I've seen them 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, the first 2 times was the Axl Rose cover
so it wasn't
band.
really Guns N' Roses.
It wasn't really that. So I was really looking forward to this. I was really looking forward to make it to the Guns N' Roses show. And... we got stuck in this really terrible traffic. I was at a wedding, and I had to get out of the wedding, and I had to apologize profusely to the bride and groom that I had to leave. It's fucking Slash. Okay. He's with Axl,
and you don't know when he's going to play again.
And I had to explain to them what Not in This Lifetime tour meant, and like it had to be a breakdown of why I had to be there. So I remember I was standing in line, And I'm like, it's cool, you know, Axl Rose is always late. Like, if we're there 9:30, it'll be
right
fine.
on the dot.
Motherfucker got on stage right on time.
Yep.
And they were playing Welcome to the Jungle.
We walked in and walked into
and I was like, no, this is my favorite song, you know?
Mine too, by the way. I heard that opening, and I'm like, no.
I was like, break the barricades, you know? Yeah, so, I mean, that was a great gig. But I agree with you. I mean, I think it's great because there's a lot of big bands that come here, and I think we're very fortunate that we get these bands. You know, I lived in Jordan, where I'm from, or we were in Lebanon, we don't have that frequency of. I mean, you got Chili Peppers at some point in Lebanon, which was cool, you know. But like here, you get them quite often, and there was Metallica twice, and there was like, you know, for a guy who was here in '97, and you tell me like in 20 years Metallica is going to be playing in Dubai.
Like, you wouldn't have thought.
No way, you know. So I agree with you. I think we need a smaller gig. I think the music room at some point served as some kind of venue that gave you
and even there
smaller
now
bands.
Shut down now, unfortunately.
And they shut down. So I mean that sucks, you know, because you don't want to just see the big band. Sometimes you want to see like a cool rock band that could fill up a good room, and you want to be close to them in an intimate setting. And we don't have that much here. So it was honestly a disappointment when that closed down.
I'll tell you. So I have to look. At the end of the day, it's my role to maintain the business as well.
Absolutely.
You know, yes,
you are a businessman.
Top level creative and concept development and the PR strategy and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I have shareholders, 1. 2, I have staff to take care of, and they have families.
Right.
So as much as I love and live for live music and rock music specifically, and I never asked the guys to play commercial, and you know, they all play their originals. You know, I wasn't one of those venues that was like, yo, go play covers of whatever, Bieber. In fact, that was against they pay me if they ever played Bieber.
Right.
So a lot of the bands had complete creative freedom. My DJs are the same. I don't tell them what to play. The problem was, and this is going to be a problem for any venue that wants to do live music, the problem is people, the general public, and I mean this in the best way possible,
tread carefully,
would rather go to the mall, probably, on a Saturday night, for example, walk around the mall, have a Twizzler somewhere, then go hear a local band play originals.
Right.
They don't. There isn't that feeling of support. In Lebanon, when a band plays, I mean, these are kids. These are some of these bands in Lebanon, and Jordan is the same, and Egypt is the same for indie rock. They're incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
Some of these bands, and I'm saying this like from the best possible place, are better than a lot of top level indie bands in the U.S.
Right.
And these guys, well, people like the Wanton Bishops, for example.
Yeah, they're incredible.
They're incredible. I mean, they'll pack out a room like it's nothing. With a WhatsApp blast, and
I love that style, man. Really, really, really good.
Whereas in Dubai, it's like you have to ask people to come. Like Jay Wood, for example.
Yeah.
Jay Wood, you put him anywhere. You put him in an arena. You put him in a studio. You put him on stage in front of 5 people or 100 people. He's gonna rock it. He's they're other level. Him and the guys.
Same intensity.
The guys. They're incredible. Yeah. But like on a Wednesday, you know, they were doing well. Our Thursday night band was doing okay. Friday was doing okay. But the rest of the nights, people were just like, oh, okay. The Boxstones, #1 band in Dubai, most awarded band in Dubai. And some nights we'd have 20 people.
Right.
Why? Why are there 20 people watching the Boxstones? They're an incredible band. Why is this happening? PR, marketing, social media. We exhaust our channels. And then what? You know, ultimately, it goes back to the point of I feel there is not enough demand, the general public at least, for live music at this scale. If there was one venue in town, we used to have Jam Bass back in the day, or Hard Rock Cafe back in the day, or where did Marwan Hawa used to play? Marwan had a band called Mojo. Harvesters at the Plaza.
Yeah.
You had a couple of venues. If you wanted to hear live music, you went to Irish Village, you went to Harvesters, you went to Hard Rock, and that was it. But you went there specifically for the live music. Now, a restaurant wants to do live music. A restaurant wants to be a nightclub.
Right.
You're a restaurant. You're a shawarma restaurant. Right. Why do you have a DJ? Can't
imagine a shawarma restaurant with a band.
Yeah, but you know what? Just wait for it. No, I'm saying this obsession with entertainment. So, and this brings me to a very important point, and I think the industry, it doesn't adjust, our hospitality industry, and F&B in specific, everyone, and I mean apocalyptic results for everybody. They don't adjust this one very particular thing, which is stick to your core competencies. This is something they tell you in advertising, and they brainwash you with USP, unique selling proposition.
Right.
And I used to disregard it as like, what are these old people talking about? If you're not known for one thing, just one thing that you do better than anyone else, honestly, don't be in this business.
Right.
You can't be everything. You can't be, we're amazing at live music. Our food is amazing. We're amazing at DJs. We're amazing at, bubble parties. We're amazing at corporate events. All these venues want to do everything.
Right.
You have a restaurant that's a Japanese restaurant that has, people coming in for dinner, and suddenly there's a DJ blasting house music. Dude, I'm here for dinner. Why? Why is this guy here? Like, it doesn't make sense. So they lose their identity. They lose me as a customer who wants just to have dinner. And they lose the clubbing crowd that wants to go to a proper house venue, like Blue Marlin. They don't want to go to a shawarma place to hear house music.
Right.
So, and this comes from panic. We've all been there. We've all been in situations where like, oh crap, what are we going to do to get people to come in and force? And you start figuring things out. Oh, let's try this. Let's try that. If your business model is based on an afterthought, it's not a sound business model.
Right. Yeah.
This has to be well thought out. You have to know your customer. You have to know what they want and anticipate what they're going to want. This is not a tech jargon thing anyway.
Right. Right.
Tech companies do it. Yes, of course, they anticipate needs, but car companies do it as well. They knew exactly when to take the put power windows on all cars as standard. They knew exactly when to kill the manual gearbox on most cars.
Right.
They knew it, and they set the trend. When Apple decided to, switch from one format to another, everyone was like, forget it. Yeah, they did it.
Right.
And, little things that here and there. So if you're trying to be an industry standard for hospitality and nightlife, a nightclub should be a nightclub. Nothing else.
Right.
A nightclub should not be a venue for yoga. Because it's
or
not
like a
doing
restaurant that turns into a club at,
Look, the restaurant turning into a club thing has been going on since the crack of dawn.
Right.
There are a lot of successful places in New York City and Paris where you have 16 million people living.
Right.
But we're in Dubai.
Right.
There's 4 million people. Half of them don't go out. The other 2 million, half of them are children. The other 1 million, half of them are, not in a bad way, but support staff that aren't, they're working
right.
on the weekend.
Really,
You're left with 500,000 people. Half of these 500,000 people, you don't even want them to go out because when they go out, they get drunk and ridiculous.
Trashed, yeah.
So I say the nightlife business in Dubai, combined with everybody involved, we're really selling to 50,000 people.
Okay.
That's it. That's the size of the market. Any way they flip it, any way they spin it. Because even if you're a regular clubber, you have a kid, you're once a month now, once every 2 months.
Right.
You're the target, but you're on the bench. So at any given time, there are 50,000 people in Dubai that go out. That's my...
Right.
Don't ask me how I got the number. It's just. I
don't know. You know better.
I just halved everything in my head.
Yeah.
Half of this, half this, half this, half this. So these 50,000 people, they used to have options of 2 or 3 clubs, 4 or 5 beach clubs, 200, 300 restaurants, 100 bars. Now, the beach club is also a restaurant. It's a bar. It's a gym. It's a nightclub. It's an after party.
We got everything.
Yeah, because they don't want to lose customers because they're so scared of losing customers. Instead of giving a customer one experience that they cannot forget, let them go somewhere else afterwards.
Right.
I don't want people to come to Kouklé at the time and have dinner and then put a DJ on and turn it into a nightclub. Because people will say, why don't you do that?
Right.
Because the guy next door does it. The other guy down the street does it. Why don't you do it?
Right.
Yeah, because it's a French bistro. It's a family-friendly French bistro. So if somebody has their kids in there at 10 p.m., you got a DJ blasting music and a bunch of clubbers showing up. I mean, what are you doing?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. It's, I think the live music thing also has to do with homegrown interest. So there's, so you look at scenes around the world. So the Bay Area in the early 80s in the US created Metallica, it created Anthrax, it created Slayer, it created Testament. It just, the fans were there.
It's Seattle grunge all over again.
Seattle grunge, same thing. In the early 2000s, here, not here, but globally, there was a metal movement that happened where you got bands like Lamb of God, Shadows Fall, whatever, like Killswitch Engage and all these guys. So it kind of resurged, and that sort of trickled around the world. And I think here at some point back in, I would say the early 2000s, there was a good scene, but it's just people leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's such a transit place that they're here for a few years, they create a scene, there are bands, you know, they put venues together, these venues get thousands of people, and then people grow up, they go to university, they go to work outside, and they leave, and then you have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest challenge when it comes to live music. You know, you get new people and they're like, what would you say the band was? The Boxstones? Boxstones. Like, I don't know who they are, and I've been here for a while, but imagine people who had just arrived in Dubai to start working here. Like, who are the Boxstones again? You know what I mean? Like, so that's, I think, that's the problem, I think. And some few bands made it, like Nerve Cell maybe had a global deal and they play around the world and so on.
Yeah, Juliana Down at one point.
Juliana Down, we had Dia here a few weeks ago. And so you got some guys are really good at this stuff, and they have something that transcends the local scene. But I think that's the unfortunate part, is that you don't have that.
If the drive was there, like a lot of these musicians here are incredible. I mean, by international standards, they can go play anywhere they want in the world. Yeah. They happen to be in Dubai because this is a good place to make money. It's relatively tax-free for now. And, venues like me, and we spend so much money on the live music. I mean, I'm talking $1 million plus a year. I mean, this is a lot of money to spend on live entertainment. Yeah, because... I mean, licenses alone were 30 grand a month. 30 grand times 12.
Yeah.
It's 400,000 dirhams a year on licenses.
Yeah.
It's not a joke, like $100,000 on licenses. And it's one of those things, like the commitment is huge from our side. And again, I'm not saying I wanted to sell out because it's just a money thing, but I felt the need was there for something fresh in a totally different genre. And I felt like hip-hop and R&B were, again, a side thought, an afterthought, where a club does a hip-hop night. So I wanted a bar club that is hip-hop and R&B at all times. And it's not commercial stuff. I'm talking about 80s, 90s. I'm talking about from NWA to Grandmaster Flash. Like, everything has to do with rap, hip-hop, and R&B that everyone kind of knows. And up to the newer stuff if there's, any need for it. And it was successful. Boom Room is just the R&B and hip-hop room inside Stereo Arcade, and it has its own clientele. Tuesdays are very busy, Wednesdays are very busy, Thursdays and Fridays are very busy.
So it's great. You turned it around basically, and it's
the pub was doing okay. I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about just overall success rate. I mean, by 1 a.m. it was empty. People would leave at 1 a.m., go to the club, or go back outside, wait in the queue, and then complain that they couldn't get into the club.
Right, yeah.
With Boom Room, they're there till 3 because it's something to do. And it's a totally different crowd. We're getting a much younger target for that. Customers are younger.
I think my wife is going to be there because she loves hip-hop. So she's been looking for a hip-hop place.
And it's hip-hop and R&B all the time. Even if you come in on a Sunday, there's no DJ, but the playlist is hip-hop and R&B. Right. So, Marwan from Mine and Yours, incredible artist. He did a mural for us. He's my neighbor, by the way. We just realized we moved next to each other a couple of weeks ago.
He's a great guy, yeah.
He's an amazing guy. So he did this
shout out, Marwan.
Freaking beautiful mural for us. It really transformed the whole room. Everything's black and white in there. Even the arcade, I revamped it a couple of months ago. Changed the look and feel of it completely. Worked with these designers in the Dominican Republic that don't speak a word of English.
Okay.
Get a translator going.
This picture, I want something like it.
I basically see. That's the thing. I don't like to get involved in. I don't want to get in people's heads. I learned this from my comedian friends. Before I used to bring them out for a show, I'd be like, "Hey, you should do the joke about this." Like, don't get in my head. And you realize performance anxiety is if you put an idea, put a seed in someone's head, they're going to go in that direction. You've influenced a major decision. So with these kids, I saw a lot of their doodles, their sketches, and I said, if you were designing video game characters in the 80s, what would they look like? That's all I said to them. And they came up with these really quirky characters, and they became part of our arcade theme right now. They're pretty cool. We just did a tournament a couple of weeks ago with Love in Dubai as well, and the Comic-Con guys. That was pretty cool, Street Fighter tournament. And we're doing stuff like that. We do a lot of random pop-ups for big brands like Capcom and Marvel now, where we have a pop-up with 2 machines just for them.
Awesome.
And I'm sure you've seen, we did a classic Super Nintendo SNES giveaway. We still have 2, so... Give
me the answers so I can enter that competition.
I don't even know the questions. Samantha, my sister, is our marketing manager. She's the one actually doing putting all the competitions together. She keeps asking me random questions. I'm like, I'm not answering that. So again, back to the pub. It was a very difficult decision to make, and I didn't get much support for it because it's like a major change. Like you're going from live music to a DJ. Like how do you even go and do that? But it's the nature of the beast. You know?
Right.
People need a refresher sometimes.
Yeah.
All the best bars and clubs in the world, every couple of years they undergo some kind of a renovation. Because no matter how much you love a place, you just want to see something new, even if it's something minor.
Absolutely.
You know? And I'll probably do that to the club in a couple of months as well, or before Ramadan. Flip that into something, like just change the design a little bit, just to make it fresh in people's minds again.
Right, absolutely. So you got the arcade area. So this is where your heart and soul is.
Yeah,
right?
for me, that's where it starts.
You're the gamer, right? Yeah. So what are you playing now? That's my first question. The second question, what was your initial, foray into the world of video gaming?
Video games, I'll start with that one first because it's my dad. My dad used to force me to play sports.
Okay.
And I became a jock by every possible way. I was on 6 teams at some point.
Okay.
Played every sport, no matter what. And I was always enjoying myself and breaking things and tearing ligaments but at the same time I made time for video games. So besides basketball was my first love in terms of sports, soccer, volleyball, even handball. I played team handball for at the time our national team in Lebanon. I was like really into it.
Awesome.
But obviously politics and religion there is the most important thing. So I wasn't interested in either one of those two in terms of playing that game. So I moved on. And video games I started out with Atari 2600, playing Pitfall and Pole Position.
You're the OG, man.
Yeah, of course.
You're the OG.
Of course. And speaking of Atari, I just bought 3 new machines for my new project, a new restaurant bar that I'm opening in D3. And the guy who made them is the son of Nolan Bushnell, who is the founder of Atari.
Wow!
So it's kind of a deal with him, and
awesome,
going to distribute these machines in the region. And Atari's coming back, by the way.
Yeah.
The new Atari. Atari box. So that's how I got into video games. And Nintendo after that. After Nintendo was over, I was a Nintendo guy, no Sega whatsoever.
Right, so SNES was the...
Yeah. SNES, Nintendo 64. I've had every Nintendo console except for the Virtual Boy, which was the first
that was a flop
anyway, but every Game Boy you can imagine. And I even have the Switch now, and I have the Wii.
Fucking love the Switch.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, what's your thoughts on the Switch?
It needs a lot more content, but I think as a machine, the mechanics of it are brilliant.
Awesome,
I think they're going to open up a whole new world that people are taking them on trains and planes, and you sit there, you play Mario Kart on your little screen. It's a game changer.
All it needs is Netflix. That's the only thing I need.
They'll get more. They'll get more. There's a lot of new content coming out now, but now I'm mostly on PlayStation.
Okay.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Online, because a lot of my friends who live in the U.S., we never really get to talk, so earphones in, they're up, I'm up, we talk, we play a little bit, mess around with some 14-year-old kids. Like in the game, obviously.
In the game,
yeah. And then
totally legal.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so mostly that.
So when you actually looked at and picking out the games at your arcade, so does it represent something from your childhood, or does what can I get in there?
Okay, so I went to Bristol.
Okay.
I like companies with a story, with a history. I'm all about innovation and tech, yes, but when it comes to things like arcade machines, I want to go to a mom and pop store.
Right.
A guy who's been building arcades since arcades were one of the biggest industries in the world. Now they're a fraction of the 100 billion a year that video games generate. People look down at the industry, by the way. I don't think they understand how big the video game industry is.
Huge,
you take music, film, and automotive together, and they're like almost there.
Right.
So these guys in Bristol, mom and pop store, were always getting in trouble in the 80s for making emulators and doing multi-game arcade machines. So all the publishers kept suing them, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. So then they licensed it finally, and they started making multi-game arcade machines. Unfortunately, these are not chip machines, so they don't run on a single CPU, so they run on a computer.
Right.
The reason I wanted to do that was I don't want to limit myself to one game. That's one. I didn't want to buy vintage machines because vintage machines break down like crazy.
And you can't fix them, and
you can't fix them. So we put some machines have 600 games in them. 3 of the machines, I won't say which ones, have around 3,000 games in them, including every game from Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, Neo Geo, ever. Everything's in there, including Nintendo 64 and whatever. But nobody ever plays those because Nintendo 64 in an arcade is weird.
Right.
So yeah, I wanted 12 machines because that's what fit in there. I could have gotten more if I had more space. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, everyone knows now 12 machines is the answer, so no one's going to come win another Super Nintendo Classic.
I remember when you first opened and they said, oh, there's a place called Stereo Arcade and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I was like, what? Arcade? That sounds amazing. Like, we can actually go play arcades. So it almost spoke to my, to my younger self, remembering the days at Amman where I used to go to this arcade and we'd play Mortal Kombat.
You couldn't drink in the arcade, so.
Well, there's that. So, but that was like, that's what I loved. I think you have Street Fighter in there.
Yeah, of course.
And, and I'm just sitting there like playing, and I think I spent more time in that area than in the actual.
That happened a lot. Even now, it still happens. And I got a lot of feedback from people saying, "Why don't you put the arcade machines in the bar in the club?" It's hard to explain how much of a sanctuary an arcade is for me, but I didn't want to mix the two. I don't want you playing arcades and listening to Biggie. No offense. I want you playing the arcades and listening to the synth soundtrack that I spent 6 months curating. I mean, I have 600 tracks in there. I even paid a couple of developers to make us our own theme songs. Like, we have our own stereo arcade tracks.
Amazing.
So I wanted that to be completely separate. Like, I wanted people to come in there when they wanted, like, decompress and like, oh, it's hectic in there and whatever.
That's awesome.
That's kind of how it started off. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, that's why I didn't mix them.
Are you looking forward to any games or any like consoles or any?
I mean, Zelda was just out, so that took quite a bit of my time.
So you're on Switch right now.
I finished the game, obviously. Yeah. Okay. In terms of games, now there's so many new games coming out in 2018. I would say the one I'm looking forward to the most is probably Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh yeah.
Because the first one was one of those games when you played it, at the end you were like so invested in the character, and it's very difficult to explain to a non-gamer what invested in a character means. Playing Fallout, you get invested in the character. Playing Red Dead Redemption, James Marsden, you get invested in the character. Playing Last of Us, you get invested in the character.
Absolutely.
Even in Horizon Zero Dawn. Halfway through that game, I'm like, what the hell is the big fuss about?
Right.
So I'm not used to playing a girl, protagonist. So it was tough. No, okay. I'm not. It's not like that. It was fun, actually. And the story is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's extremely likely that something like this could happen. So you find yourself like, what the hell happens next? I need to finish the game to know what the hell happens.
Right.
You're living a movie, so. Yeah, so I'd say anything that has that kind of effect, I'd love to play, like the Uncharted series and all these things.
Yeah, I think for me, the first one that really got me sucked in terms of character and story was Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oof, okay, Snake.
Back in PS2, you know, it was a most hyped game at the time. Like, holy shit, the graphics looks amazing, And, you know, obviously there was this huge thing where you don't play with Solid Snake, you sort of like start playing with Raiden or whatever.
Exactly.
And that was the first time I played a video game that I was so invested emotionally in a character.
Yeah, of course.
Where I was like, you know, I even got goosebumps like listening, and like I got emotional when, you know, they would walk and you hear the music and the scoring and the.
This vodka's strong.
Yeah, that's how we roll here in Monkey Rock. You know?
Don't shut it down.
At 11 a.m. You know. So yeah, that's I mean, and I understand these kind of games, and I think it's such a high bar for me that now when I start a game and I feel like it's not hooking me emotionally,
you're not interested.
I'm done.
You lose interest.
I think God of War had that.
God of War, the first couple were pretty good, and then but the next one's gonna looks pretty.
Ascension was crap, but like the third one, I could, you know, this guy is going for revenge. He wants to avenge his family. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. You know, let's avenge your family. Yeah, so that's why I like these games. But I think there's the Xbox One X coming out. That's something that I'm looking forward to.
One X.
Yeah, that's the new revamped Xbox. These type of things. But I mean, I really appreciate that you do all your business stuff and you have all that time to give to finishing video games and like
to, honestly, and I say this in the nicest possible way to anyone who works for everyone. We all work for a living, obviously, but life isn't about just that.
Yeah.
You're gonna make money, you're gonna lose money, you're gonna spend money, you're gonna save money, but ultimately you really have to do the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
And it's just time management. If you can manage to do all these things at the same time, good for you. If you don't have time, I mean, why wouldn't I have time? You know, I do everything really quickly.
Yeah.
I'm super efficient. I try to be as efficient as I can. And then if I have time left over and I want to play an hour a day, if I even have time for an hour a day.
Right.
half an hour a day, just a quick game. Yeah, it's fine. You have to do it. You got to stay. You know, I'd rather do that than be on my Instagram.
So what's next, right? So now you're doing your own, like you're at a place where you're all right. You know, you're doing okay. So what's your like? When you sit there and you're like, shit, I'd love to do X and X, or
I'd love to do nothing. That's the ultimate goal. Yeah, nothing. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, really.
I mean, for a workhorse, you know, to be like, nah, I'm done.
I wanted to retire early my whole life. I always wanted to retire as young as possible. I'm not one of those, like, I want to go live on an island guys. I want to go, like, retire in New York.
Best city on earth.
Yeah, best city on earth.
Yeah.
I got engaged in New York. I'm going to get married in New York. So, me and Tala.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On you're engaged or getting married. Yeah. Fantastic, man.
So ultimately for me, I would
shout out
say,
to Tala.
Yeah. She's gonna be shouting at me if I'm not home soon. No, so I'd say ultimately for me, it's just a matter of kind of putting my eggs in different baskets at this point. So I've got Stereo Arcade up and running. Obviously, that'll change with time. I'm working on a new project in Dubai Design District. I should start construction in a couple of weeks. It's I can't say much about it, but it's going to be one of those quirky concepts as well. It's called Akibadori. It's influenced by the Akihabara district in Tokyo, which became famous at the time for harboring illegal goods after World War II. So any American product you could find there kind of hidden away behind like a grocery store. So I was really inspired by that and the neon and the colors of that street. And I'm creating this new concept is a mix of different shop displays kind of thing. And there's a little arcade in there as well. There's a bar. There's a coffee shop, bakery type scenario. And there is a pizzeria. You would not imagine the word pizzeria coming out of a Japanese street concept. But one of the best pizzas you will ever have in your life is in this very small pizzeria in Tokyo. And we got through my partner Wasif, one of my old friends as well, who's obsessed with pizza, obsessed. We got this guy called Tamaki-san, who is all over the news now for basically coining Tokyo Neapolitan pizza. Okay. Which is what we're going to bring. So flour, salt, and the firewood comes from Japan. And the oven, we're getting it made in Japan by same story, mom and pop store type apparatus. And it's on its way here. It's being shipped as we speak. And we're going to make, I would say, humbly, one of the best pizzas ever. Not just in Dubai. Dubai standards for me doesn't mean anything anymore. Right. Dubai is international. Right. If you say something in Dubai is great, it means it's great on an international level. If somebody says Zuma is the best restaurant in Dubai, it's not just Dubai anymore. Because Dubai is up there with, I'm talking about F&B, New York, London, Paris, Beirut, all the biggest foodie cities in the world. So if you're big in Dubai, you're a global contender. So I'm trying to create that in there. And this pizzeria brand has its own brand. I won't say what it is yet. Cooks a pizza pie in the oven in less than a minute. And the ingredients are incredible. Our Italian chef Luigi is there now getting a training with Tamaki-san, with the translator. It's hilarious, the story. And he's going to be there for another month and a half. And we should be opening early next year. And it's going to be one of those just pizzerias that's like you will crave it. That's my objective with it. So that brand, if that works out, and it's in Building 8 in D3, right opposite Lighthouse, which is Chef Izu's restaurant, the guy who created LPM and La Serre, and he just opened Lighthouse.
It's a really good place, yeah.
Incredible restaurant. Chez Charles is right next to me. Molecules across the street. There's a really nice community in D3. So back to what I was saying about landlords. A landlord like D3, no matter what, will make you successful. Right. No matter what, they are. I've never dealt with anybody more supportive, ever in Dubai, ever. From a government, non-government perspective, they spend a lot of money on marketing strategy. They help you out with anything you need. They literally flip things around just to make it happen. That for me is like anyone that's going to come to D3 to set up a business is going to be very happy dealing with them. Really, like this is like. For me to say that, it's like it's a major. I don't endorse anything normally, by the way, except for Nikes.
No, that's not me.
Yeah, so
Yeah, more of an Adidas guy.
I know. It's okay. When you send me that message, your Yeezys, I'm like, me and Kanye West ain't gonna happen. That's one.
It's not about Kanye West. It's just I think I'm a hype beast. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think, and I'm not ashamed of it. You know, when I was in New York, I went to Flight Club. I went to
Flight Club's amazing.
Yeah, I went to Supreme. I don't get Supreme. I don't get it. But I went to Kith. I went to. Kith has a really cool Nike.
Yeah, Kith is awesome.
Yeah,
the hotel we stayed at is always down the street.
Yeah,
so
and Stadium Goods as well. So it was. I mean, it's a sneaker heaven, really. Okay. Honestly,
I'll give you a secret. Don't share everything. Yeah, okay. StockX.com. StockX.
I just ordered from StockX.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, dude, that's right here. I'm endorsing StockX.
It's on my fridge. The sticker.
Just reminding me. Yeah.
What time is it? Oh man.
Yeah. No, we're wrapping up. I think we've been here for an hour and 10 minutes.
That's pretty good because we thought we'd do 5 minutes only.
Yeah, I think we would just and it went on.
We'll edit half of this anyway.
Yeah, we'll just keep the 5 minutes.
Just like
as requested. Yeah,
just the last 5 minutes. But that was great.
But I really appreciate your time, man. Honestly, you know, for a guy who works the nightlife, you just told me you woke up at 7 a.m. You wake up at 7 a.m. You were here at 11, and you're like going, man. So I really appreciate your time. This was really interesting.
It's fun, man.
I don't know where this podcast was going to go, but it turned out into an episode of how I built this. It's a podcast that I really love.
So keep that for another segment for 2 years from now, and then air it then.
It's really interesting, and I honestly I'm inspired by what you said.
Thanks, man.
So really. And you know that's a podcast if you get a good podcast if you get inspired. So I really thank you for this, man.
That's good, man. I appreciate you saying that.
I hope maybe we'll have you again.
Yeah,
when we have a bigger setting and
and have someone on drums. Just
maybe we'll jam together at some point. I don't know.
Sure. I play the electric triangle.
That's virtuoso. I heard.
I'm really good at it.
I heard
my timing is
odd timings as well.
Yeah.
Dream theater style. You know, like
a little bit better than that.
Little bit better.
Yeah, I've been doing it much longer.
Damn.
Yeah. Oxford.
Yeah. Berkeley as well.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, dude.
Thanks, man.
I really appreciate it. And we are out.
Cool.